What's up guys, this is Justin with Sabbath Gardens and welcome back to the channel. I'm sorry it's been such a long time since I did another video. Obviously with everything going on, I kind of had to focus my attention in other places for the last week or two, including my other channel and also into the garden as well. I was originally planning on filming every step of what I do in the garden as I do it, but I got so overwhelmed with wanting to get so much done very quickly that I really didn't take the time to film every little step of what I've been doing the last 2 weeks. So I am going to go back, however, and do little videos explaining how I do different things with tomatoes, potatoes, onions, the beds, everything, and just kind of get back to making sure everybody understands the basics, including seed starting. But today I wanted to basically just do a quick walkthrough of the garden again, give you guys a little update, and maybe talk through a little bit about what I've been working on and the strategies I'm implementing to try and maximize the space in my yard. Additionally, I want to talk about some of the plants that I think that everyone should really consider putting in the ground right now because they're a great source of food, nutrition. They grow pretty quickly and they're very easy to grow as well. So not necessarily like a top 10 list type thing. There are those out there and I encourage you guys to check those out if you can find them. But just kind of some of the plants that I'm putting in the ground right now, and some of the ones that I have put in a couple weeks ago that are already starting to show a lot of progress. So let me go ahead and just walk you through the garden and show you what's going on. It's definitely one of those days where it's not bright, but it is. You know what I'm saying? I'll actually go ahead and start us right here with my seedlings. One of the first things I did when things started getting weird over the last couple weeks is throw a lot more seeds in the ground, get them ready to go. And you can see, look at the watermelon seedlings there, and Roma tomatoes, moringa, sweet tomatoes, lots of cucumber, burgundy bush beans, butternut squash, red Malabar spinach, red bitter oaky, melon, more tomatoes, more beets, lots of stuff down there. Let's see, cucumbers, okra, watermelon, squash, and some more cucumbers and tomatoes back there. So things are coming up really nicely. Just so you know, I'll go ahead and show you real quick. These are really cheap little cups you get from like the grocery store, like the little plastic ones, you know, that are used for like washing out your mouth. And you can actually take a little drill bit and make little holes in them, and you can actually do several at once when they're stacked up. And I literally just used some organic raised bed mix and threw it into these little cups with holes in them and kept them moist out here in the shade. It's pretty warm back here, but no direct sun, so it keeps the soil moist. And as you can see, they're very, very happy. So some of these will be going on the ground very soon. Others will be waiting another couple days, a week for. Probably put the bush beans in and the cucumbers in pretty soon here. And I already got places set up for that. So if you guys don't have seed started, I recommend getting seed started as soon as possible. There's lots of easy ways to do it. If nothing else, just get some little cups, some organic raised bed mix, put seeds in there and keep them moist in the shade. Keep them moist and warm. If you're in cold weather areas, you're going to want to keep them indoors because they have to be warm in order to germinate. So here's the seeds I have right here, and these are going to be going all up in the garden in various places over the next week or two. But we'll go ahead and start over here on the side of the house. This was actually the first bed I ever planted at this house. It doesn't get a whole lot of sun over here. It only gets maybe 3 hours of full sun, mostly partial sun after that. So this is a celery here, doing pretty good. I found out that I was actually underwatering my plants, which is kind of a rare thing. I think for most people, there's a big risk of overwatering your plants when you're new to gardening because you want to make sure they stay wet, but on the other hand, the chances of root rot are pretty high if you have the soil too moist. This is broccoli here, doing really nice, coming up nice and big. 3 of them are flowering now. I already pulled a couple of big peppers off of these pepper plants back here, and I got one little guy growing, a new one growing right in here if you can see that. So my peppers are doing pretty good. Broccoli's doing better. Celery's doing decent. Like I said, I have really sandy, well-draining soil, so I have to water every day. So one of my next big projects is going to be a drip irrigation system, so I don't have to stand out here for 45 minutes every day watering all my plants. I had some snap peas growing here, but if you guys can remember, I mentioned that it's definitely not snap pea weather in Florida right now, and I expected them to die, and they did. So those are gone, but I'll replace this bed with something else here that doesn't need full sun in order to grow. Originally I was using this greenhouse for seed starting, but then I found out that in Florida it's simply just too hot for a greenhouse. Unless you have roof vents and fans going on in there, it gets way too hot. So I actually burnt a bunch of seeds. They didn't sprout or germinate. Some of them did germinate, but then they just died right away. So if you're in a warm weather climate like I am, subtropical, you're not going to need a greenhouse in the summer or in the spring to germinate your seeds. Like I said, just put them in the shade somewhere and keep them moist. They'll do just fine. If you're in a cold weather climate, however, if it's colder than, say, probably 70 degrees, you might consider using one of these, but even still, you can really just start your seeds in your house and germinate them somewhere in the house near a window. They don't really need a lot of light to germinate. They just need to stay moist and warm. So since the last video I did, I actually built this arbor here for grapes. And I was blessed. My mother gave us some really beautiful flowers. She actually gave them to my daughter for her birthday a couple weeks ago. Those are doing pretty good. But the star of the show are these muscadine grapes here. And you can see these grapevine cuttings that I have. One is purple and the other is green grapes. And so you can see these grapevines here starting to take off. When I put these in about a week ago, they were probably 2 inches shorter, so we got a lot of new growth here. Once they get settled in, they should really take off. And they'll both climb up this arbor over the top, and there'll just be grapes raining everywhere. So just yesterday, I actually built a additional trellis system for more cucumbers. This is going to serve as a way to keep my chickens shaded during the day, because the sun really beats down across the sky here, and you got to keep your chickens shaded, otherwise they can get hurt. So I in addition to putting screening and stuff like that on the cage, I went ahead and pulled up all this sandy, nasty soil, replaced it with really organic, nutrient rich soil, and mulched it and built a tiny little trellis here. So my cucumber babies, 6 of them are going to go right in here. They're going to grow up, which I'll show you how the other ones are looking over there in a minute, and provide some shade and provide some cucumbers. And they grow fast, y'all. You're going to really enjoy growing cucumbers if you have a chance to do so. Here's my sour orange tree. It literally produces tiny little sour oranges, and a little bit of new growth there. Nothing too crazy has happened in the last 2 weeks. My chickens did get bigger though, so they're really coming along. They're getting a lot more accustomed to being near me and the camera. And here in about a month, they should start laying some eggs for us. So looking forward to that big time. Another random thing is Paul. You might remember Paul from the last video I did where I built a raised bed at his house. He actually ordered 2,000 earthworms. So we're gonna start raising worms, and they have a ton of benefits to raising worms. Specifically, they compost everything you feed them, and they create worm castings, which is basically worm poop. That's like fertilizer on crack for your garden. So if you raise worms, it's not too difficult to do. Paul and I are going to do a video about that at some point here in the very near future, and I'll let him explain some of the strategies for raising worms and how you can use those to really build some awesome compost and strengthen your garden soil really quickly. So looking forward to that. Here's our bush beans. Again, everything's doing really good. Going back to the watering thing, my soil is just so well draining. I have to water every single day. If I don't, they don't look too happy. The plants, they start to get a little wilty. Got some key lime coming in on this tree right behind it. And these are all Blue Lake variety bush beans. Can I see any pods coming in here? Here you go. You see that pod right there? I don't know if you can see it right here. See that pod? Got some beans coming in. Little babies. Not very clear shot, sorry, but. All right, we have corn. Again, if you guys don't know how to build these beds, make sure you check out my first 2 videos. They explain how I prep this. This is just grass before, guys. How I prep this whole area for planting. It's been pretty good. It's been working. My corn's getting pretty big. Looks like it's about 2 feet tall now, the bigger ones at least. I just treated all of them with some fish fertilizer yesterday. Again, I can explain some of that stuff in another video. And then some more bush beans. These are actually the Burgundy variety bush beans. And you can definitely see the pod right here. And they are starting to produce. They're coming along fast. And then our peach tree. Lots of new growth on the peach tree. You see all these light colored leaves? That lets you know you got new growth coming in. And we have 1 peach. Let's see if I can find it for you. 1 peach right there coming in. So maybe next year, if we're still around for it, we'll have more than 1 peach. But it's a young tree, so can't really expect it to put out a lot of fruit. It also was going through transplant shock and getting a new home and getting used to its environment, so I can't really blame it for only giving me 1 peach right now. Yeah. Let's see, before I go down there, we'll check on this bed real quick. Actually, this bed too, I didn't even hit this one yet. Here's my baby carrots. Well, they're not babies anymore. They're getting pretty big. Starting to come in here. And I just sowed 2 rows of carrots here. And some did great, like these guys. Some not so much, but again, I kind of messed up the watering schedule originally, so that's probably part of the problem. But these mustard greens are super spicy, but they grow so fast, and I like them personally. I put them in my salads, on my sandwiches, but you don't want to just grab one and eat it, because it will make your nose run and all that, like eating a pepper or something. But man, I mean, I cut off all the big leaves, maybe all the leaves this size and bigger. That's not even a big one. Those are small now. About 3 days ago. And look, they're already coming back in. Nice and big. And some collard greens. Doing really good. Everything's pretty happy. This bed system is working out really well, guys. Again, I did a video on how to build these raised beds and what materials I used, how much it cost, what soil I put in, everything. And I mean, look at it. It's doing really well. And these have been in now for maybe 2 months, something like that. But they've been this big for several weeks. I keep pruning them back and harvesting, and they just keep growing right back. It's an awesome little bed for making salads. And then whenever I have leftovers and stuff, I feed them to the chickens. And very soon I'll be feeding my leftovers to my worms, which again, we'll look at that at another time. And then these are all the babies I put in a couple weeks ago. We got some dill here, some ruby red Swiss chard. I love that stuff. It tastes good, looks really pretty. I don't know if you can see that. And then a gourmet lettuce blend. That's what all these are, these gourmet lettuce blends. And doing pretty good. These are probably a month old, something like that. But like I said, I was underwatering, finally figured it out, fixed it, and now things are starting to really take off again. So that's box number 2. The other day I went to Lowe's and got these steaks, and these are sort of like a plastic gardening stake, and they're about $5 a piece, and they're 8 foot tall. And so what I did was I put them each down on the ground about 1 foot, and all my tomato plants, the vining indeterminate tomato plants, are going to go underneath each one of these stakes, and I'm going to grow them vertically to maximize the space here. If I wanted to, I could do several rows of this, you know, There's a lot you can grow vertically, specifically tomatoes, cucumbers. You can do squash vertically. You can even do watermelon vertically if you're crazy enough. But I got seedlings over there that are already germinated, and when they're ready, they're gonna get planted here. I'm gonna have a tomato tower wall, just a wall of tomatoes here. So if that works out as well as my cucumbers have, then it will be legitimately a literal wall. So here's our little hibiscus. This guy blooms a beautiful new flower or two every couple days. My mother-in-law gave us that, and it's really cool. I like it a lot. Here's a notorious papaya that I was posting about a couple weeks ago. It was about half that size, and it had yellow leaves and spots all over it, and I was really worried about it. But look at it now. It turns out I was underwatering that too, not overwatering, which again is an uncommon problem, but here in Florida you got to really make sure. By the way, easy way to do that is go down to the base of your plant and put your finger in up to your first knuckle here and see if you can find any moisture in there. And if it's moist, then you don't need to water right away. But if it's dry, like bone dry, you need to water. And I started judging everything based off of that single principle, and my plants have been very happy about that. So I put in some flowers around the garden just to try and attract more pollinators. I have the hibiscus, and I got more flowers over there we'll look at in a few minutes. My blueberry bushes have been producing blueberries, but not super fast. We may get, I don't know, maybe 10 blueberries a week from both bushes combined right now, but that's because, again, they're babies. When they're mature, we'll get a lot more than that. They're delicious. I love them. Okra, little okra update. I think last video I did, they all looked like that, and now a couple of them look like this, but again, the growth was kind of stunted from underwatering. So these okra will grow up like stalks, and they can get up to 5 feet high. And okra is so good for you, for your gut especially. You can pickle okra, you can eat it raw, you can fry it, lots of stuff you can do with okra. From over here, we can move over to our strawberry patch. Look at this little guy. You can actually see a little strawberry here, but it's kind of a dud. These strawberries are really young, so you can't really expect them to produce quite yet, but they're getting there. They're coming along, and eventually they'll be a nice asset to the garden. All right, and one of my favorites here is the cucumbers. I absolutely love growing cucumbers. It's so fun. In fact, I actually built another string trellis here because I'm going to put more cucumbers on this part of the fence. You can already see they're growing up. I grew all these from seed, and look, if you look behind, you can see all these beautiful yellow flowers. These yellow flowers have the potential, all of them, to produce a cucumber. There's a baby cucumber right there. I don't know if you can focus it or not. Can you see that? Yeah, man, these things literally have these cool little tendrils on them, and they reach out from the plant and they grab stuff and they wrap around it here, and then they actually coil up their tendril to pull the plant tighter to whatever they're grabbing onto. And you can just see they're not bashful about grabbing stuff. Every single one of these is grabbed onto this trellis in several places. Here's an example of that bungee effect I was telling you about. See how the tendril grabbed it and then started twisting itself to pull the plant closer to the string and kind of pull itself up. So these are from seed. These are maybe 2 months old, and they're just getting started. These things will literally climb up this whole fence and hopefully produce abundantly for our family. And I just love cucumbers. They're so good. We'll make some pickles. Our dwarf banana trees are about double the size they were a month ago. Same problem, I was underwatering, but these will get about 8 feet from what I understand. So they should theoretically be up to the top of the fence here by midsummer, maybe end of summer. And banana trees are a whole topic of themselves. Very interesting plant, the way they produce fruit, the way they reproduce. And actually you can see here that they're already starting to put forward pups, which are other baby banana trees already popping up. There's another one coming off that plant over there, and they do that by themselves. They produce pups and they reproduce, and eventually I'll have several banana trees in here. But again, that's another topic in and of itself. So you can't see it, but I put 2 rows of onions in here. Got tiny little pieces sticking up here and there, like this guy here. And that was a Georgia sweet onion. Got some oregano, rosemary, chive onions right here, garden sage. And these things smell so good, guys. I wish you could smell these things. I mean, they're just so, every single one of them, you just touch them with your fingers and smell, and it's just so good. Some purple basil. I didn't like transplanting and it started to die. I've been giving it some fish fertilizer and lots of water, and it's starting to recover now. A little bit of new growth on top. So the regular green basil is really happy, going crazy, and gives me hope for the purple basil for sure. And then one of our garden favorites here is our lavender. Beautiful plant. Again, attracts pollinators, smells beautiful, looks beautiful. Definitely recommend some lavender. Not hard to grow at all. I literally have done nothing but give this thing a little water every day, and it's kicking butt. Yeah, so that's that bed here. And as you can see, I still have lots of space out here for planting. So between all the other plants I have, the beans, the squash, beets, I can plant those in there. I have lots of space out in those beds over there, and in front of the corn over there, and then of course in that bed over there. So I'm gonna have to get a little creative with where I'm gonna put everything, but I'm also looking forward to it. I really want this place to just be a food forest, food jungle here in Florida. And what a blessing it is just to have an opportunity to spend time outside with Yah's creation and enjoy this. Okay, so next let's go ahead and go to our, got 2 more things I want to show you, my tomatoes and my potatoes. And those are just so happen to be 2 of my favorite things actually. So here is our tomato plants, and if you can see, I actually took a piece of cable, like metal cable, and I ran it from the top of the fence all the way up to the top of our pull thing, pull screen. And I'm actually training these tomatoes to grow up this as a trellis. So you can see here, these plants grew all the way up this stake, and now going up this trellis. And in a month or so, I'm gonna have me a tomato tunnel. I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be fun. But man, if you guys can get some super sweet cherry 100s, that's what this is called. Super sweet 100 hybrid cherry. Look at the amount of tomatoes this thing is putting out. It lives up to its name. It puts out easily 100 tomatoes each. And I have lots of more tomatoes coming in, lots of flowers being produced here, which means new tomatoes are coming. This is my smallest one and it's already producing. And here's one of my other guys. Just what a beautiful plant, it's doing so well. And we've already had some of these tomatoes and they are delicious, guys. So hopefully I'll be making a video here in a month, if the internet's still a thing, and we'll have a tomato tunnel I can show you guys. Last for the update for now, my potatoes. And guys, you gotta get in on this potato game. It's so fun, so easy. I literally took a $15 Rubbermaid trash can and I drilled holes in the bottom of it so that water it doesn't get too saturated in there. I put some potatoes in there, potato eyes, which I'll show you what a potato eye is in a second. And I just kept the soil moist. And every single time these plants grow up a little bit, I add more soil and more soil. So literally you end up with a potato plant that's growing all the way through the soil to the bottom. And you keep adding soil as it grows up until this thing's topped off. And at the 100-day mark, you can dump this entire trash can out and it will be full of potatoes. So I got 2 trash cans going here. This is my 3rd one, but I just started these maybe a week ago. So you can see they're not quite making leaves yet, but they're getting there. So if you don't know about potatoes and trash cans, you got to check it out. It's super easy. I'm sure there's lots of tutorials online, and again, I'll do one as well to show you what I did exactly. And yeah, since we're actually on the topic, I'll go ahead and show you a little bit about how to get potatoes started. And oh yeah, by the way, check out this. If you guys haven't seen this channel, Nature's Always Right on YouTube, you want to check that out. This guy has a lot of great videos, awesome content. His content's helped me out a lot with my garden. So if you guys are looking for more content and more tutorials, don't forget to check out the recommended videos on my homepage, the recommended channel list. Go check those channels out because they really do have a lot to offer. All right, one second, let me grab a potato and I'll show you how to get these things started. All right, I'm in my messy office right now, but look, this is what you're gonna do. You go to the grocery store and buy an organic potato, a kind that you like to grow more of, and literally you take your potatoes and you put them in a dark, warm place. So what I did was I took about 10 potatoes and I put them in a shoebox and taped up all the holes so no light can get in, and I set them next to a warm window. And about a week to 10 days later, these little eyes, which are what these are called, sprout all over it. Now literally all you have to do is cut one of these eyes out with a little bit of meat around it and a little bit of meat underneath it. Like if I was going to cut this eye off, I would just kind of cut that section right there. And you plant that eye straight into soil and keep that soil moist. And brothers and sisters, this thing starts to grow other potatoes, lots of other potatoes. I mean, one potato can produce like 30 other potatoes, or more actually, because each of these eyes is a plant. So this could be like 20 or 30 potatoes, 20 or 30 potatoes, 20 or 30 potatoes, just all up to you, all up to how much space you want to utilize growing potatoes. And what an awesome survival food. Again, 100-day harvest, and just starch, carbohydrates, nutrients. Easy, easy, easy to grow. So get some potatoes started ASAP. All right, a couple real quick things before I sign off for now. A lot of these plants can be started almost anywhere in the United States right now, depending on the weather. Obviously, if it's still really cold in your area, then look up specifically what type of plants you can grow based on what month it is, based on what temperature it is in your area. But I know there's quite a few plants that like cooler weather anyways, and do well in cooler weather, and that includes like I said, peas, carrots, certain types of lettuces and spinaches. So just check and see what you can go ahead and start growing. A second thing is, if it's going to start warming up in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and you either have a greenhouse or a space indoors that you can go ahead and get seeds started, then your second option is to go ahead and get your seeds started so that when it is warm enough, you can go ahead and put those in the ground. Also, don't forget to go ahead and prep your soil. Whether or not it's cold, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and cover your soil up with cardboard, mulch. Again, reference the first video or 2 for details on what I'm talking about with that. Get your soil prepped, because the sooner you prep your soil, the better condition it will be in when it comes time to plant. And the longer it sits there, the better quality the soil will gain over time. So, oh yeah, also installed a second rain barrel the other day from my gutters. So, looking forward to getting some rain so we can start watering the garden with free water. But yeah, that's it. Just wanted to again give you a quick update, a little walk around through the garden, and encourage you guys to just get started. Go get some seeds. It's real simple, guys. Just literally look up You can Google it. Just look up what plants grow in my temperate zone this month. What seed should I start right now? And there's tons of available information out there on what to grow and when. So just get it started. It's so easy. It's not hard. Just start with the seeds. If you're not sure, you know, how to make your bed and where to put stuff and how you want to design your garden and all that yet, it's not going to prevent you from going ahead and getting your seeds, getting your soils, getting your cups, whatever you're going to need to start germinating seeds. Get that stuff, get the seeds going, and while your seeds are growing, you can start planting your garden and prepping it for later planting. So, alright guys, I'll be back in a day or two, hopefully, with some videos on, a real detailed video on planting potatoes in the trash can, building string trellises, lots of stuff. So stay tuned. Look forward to your comments as usual. Thank you for your support and encouragement, and shalom.